Dr. Kate Morgan stood at the bridge of the medical ship, Mercy's Edge, watching the stars drift past the viewport. She had been a ship's doctor for 8 years, and still loved the quiet peace of space travel. Her crew was small but skilled. Danny Brooks, her young assistant, was reviewing medical supplies in the cargo bay. Lisa Park, their engineer, was running system checks. Jake Stone, their security officer, was doing his daily patrol of the ship. The Mercy's Edge was not a warship. It carried medical supplies to remote colonies and answered distress calls from ships in trouble. Kate preferred it that way. She had joined the medical corps to save lives, not to fight wars. The ship's communication system suddenly came alive with a crackling distress signal. "This is the merchant vessel Star Trader," a voice said through heavy static. "We have suffered engine failure and multiple hull breaches. We have wounded aboard. Please respond. Our position is Grid 77 Alpha in the Kepler system." Kate looked at the navigation display. The Kepler system was only 2 hours away at maximum speed. She pressed the communication button. "Star Trader, this is Dr. Kate Morgan of the medical ship Mercy's Edge. We are responding to your distress call. Please transmit your exact coordinates and medical status." There was a pause. Then the voice came back. "Thank you, Mercy's Edge. We have 15 crew members. 5 are seriously injured. We are losing life support. Please hurry." Kate felt her heart rate increase. 15 people were counting on them. She turned to the ship's intercom. "All crew to stations. We have a medical emergency. Danny, prepare the surgical bay. Lisa, set course for Grid 77 Alpha, maximum speed. Jake, ready the rescue equipment." The crew responded quickly. Danny's voice came over the comm. "Medical bay ready, Dr. Morgan. I have trauma supplies." "Prepared." Lisa's voice followed. "Course set. We'll be there in 90 minutes. Jake checked in last. "Rescue gear ready. Should I prepare the shuttle?" "Yes," Kate said. "We may need to evacuate their crew if their ship is too damaged." The Mercy's Edge jumped to faster-than-light speed. Kate used the travel time to review emergency medical procedures with Danny. The young man was skilled, but still nervous during major emergencies. She wanted him ready for anything. "Remember," Kate told him, "trauma patients need 3 things. First, stop the bleeding, keep them breathing, and prevent shock. Everything else can wait." Danny nodded. "I understand, Dr. Morgan. I've prepared blood replacement packs and surgical tools." Kate smiled. Danny was learning well. She had been like him once, young and eager to prove herself. Now she was the experienced doctor, responsible for training. The next generation. Lisa's voice came over the intercom. "Approaching the coordinates now. I'm scanning for the Star Trader." Kate hurried to the bridge. Through the viewport, she could see a large ship floating in space. It looked damaged, with dark sections where lights should be glowing. But something felt wrong. The ship was too big to be a simple merchant vessel. "Lisa, scan that ship again." Kate said. "What's its configuration?" Lisa's fingers moved over her control panel. Her face went pale. "Dr. Morgan, that's not a merchant ship. It's a Zephyrian raider vessel. And it's not damaged." Kate felt ice in her stomach. Zephyrians were known throughout the galaxy as slavers and pirates. They were cruel beings who enjoyed causing pain to other species. What was a Zephyrian ship doing here? "Jake, get to the weapons controls," Kate ordered, but she knew it was too late. The Mercy's Edge was a medical ship. It carried only basic defensive systems. The Zephyrian ship suddenly came alive with lights. Weapon ports opened along its hull. A tractor beam locked onto the Mercy's Edge, pulling them closer. "They're jamming our communications," Lisa reported. "I can't send a distress signal. And I can't break free of their tractor beam," Jake added from the weapons station. Our engines aren't powerful enough. Kate watched helplessly as the Zephyrian ship pulled them into its cargo bay. She had walked into a trap, and now her crew would pay the price. She thought of Danny, so young and full of hope. She thought of Leza, who had a daughter waiting for her on Mars. She thought of Jake, who had joined their crew to get away from the violence of his military service. The Mercy's Edge settled into the alien ship's cargo bay with a metallic clang. Through the viewport, Kate could see Zephyrian warriors moving toward their ship. They were tall, reptilian beings with scales that shifted color in the light. They carried weapons that could stun or kill. "What do we do?" Danny asked over the intercom. His voice was shaking. Kate took a deep breath. She was the captain. Her crew was looking to her for leadership. She had to be strong, even though she was terrified. "We follow the medical corps protocols," she said. "We cooperate, we stay alive, and we look for a chance to escape. Remember, we're medical personnel. Galactic law protects us." But even as she said it, Kate knew that Zephyrians did not care about galactic law. They had set a trap specifically for a medical ship. That meant they had plans for her crew, and those plans would not be pleasant. The cargo bay doors of the Mercy's Edge suddenly exploded inward. Zephyrian warriors poured into the ship, their weapons raised. Kate heard Danny cry out from the medical bay. Lisa was shouting something about damaged systems. Jake was trying to fight, but the sound of energy weapons told Kate that he had been overwhelmed. A large Zephyrian warrior appeared on the bridge. His scales were darker than the others, and he wore armor decorated with trophies from previous battles. He pointed his weapon at Kate. "Dr. Kate Morgan," he said in accented English. "I am War Commander Thys Ul. You and your crew are now my prisoners." Kate raised her hand slowly. "I am a medical officer. My crew and I are protected under galactic law." Thexul laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Your galactic law means nothing here, human. I have heard interesting things about your species, about how you claim to be peaceful healers. I want to test that claim." Kate felt fear wash over her, but she kept her voice steady. "What do you want?" "I want to see how long human compassion lasts when you watch your crew suffer," Thexul said. "I want to see if human medics are as soft as they appear. You will come with me now. Your crew will join us shortly." Two Zephyrian warriors grabbed Kate's arms. As they dragged her from the bridge, she could hear her crew being captured in other parts of the ship. Danny was crying. Lisa was fighting and cursing. Jake was unconscious. Kate closed her eyes and tried to prepare herself for what was coming. She was a doctor, trained to heal and protect life. But she had a feeling that soon she would discover what she was truly capable of when the people she cared about were in danger. The trap had been set, and they had walked right into it. Now the real test would begin. The Zephyrian transport ship smelled like metal and death. Kate sat in a small cage with bars that hummed with electric current. Her hands were bound with metal cuffs that would shock her if she tried to remove them. Across from her, in separate cages, were her crew members. Danny Brooks looked terrible. His young face was pale and streaked with tears. His medical uniform was torn, and he kept looking around like a trapped animal. Lisa Park was angry. She gripped the bars of her cage and glared at their captors with pure hatred. Jake Stone was barely conscious. Blood ran down his face from where the Zephyrians had hit him with their weapons. "Danny, are you hurt?" Kate called out softly. "I'm okay," Danny whispered back. "But I'm scared, Dr. Morgan. What do they want with us?" Before Kate could answer, War Commander Thexul entered the room. He was even more frightening up close. His scales were black and green, and his eyes were yellow, like a snake's. He wore a necklace made from the bones of different species. Kate tried not to think about where those bones had come from. "Welcome to my ship," Vexul said. "We are traveling to my private facility on the moon of Zerion. There, we will have more time to get to know each other." "What do you want?" Kate asked. "We're just medical personnel. We don't have military secrets or valuable cargo." Vexul smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "But you do have something valuable, Dr. Morgan. You have your compassion. Humans are famous throughout the galaxy for caring about each other. I want to see how far that compassion goes." Lisa Park spat at him through the bars. "You're sick. Even for a Zephyrian, you're twisted." Vexul laughed. "Your engineer has spirit. Good. Breaking the strong ones is always more satisfying than breaking the weak." The transport ship shuddered as it landed. Through a small window, Kate could see the surface of a barren moon. Ancient ruins dotted the landscape, and in the distance stood a metal fortress that looked like it had been built into the side of a mountain. Zephyrian guards dragged them from their cages and marched them through the fortress. Kate tried to memorize the layout, but there were too many corridors and too many armed guards. The fortress was a maze designed to prevent escape. They were brought to a large chamber with high walls. In the center was a raised platform with chairs that looked like torture devices. Kate's blood went cold when she saw the machines attached to the chairs. She recognized some of the technology from her medical training. Neural pain amplifiers. Devices that could cause incredible agony without permanent physical damage. "Bring the young one first." Vexul ordered. Two guards grabbed Danny and dragged him to one of the chairs. Danny struggled, but he was no match for the powerful Zephyrians. They strapped him down and attached the neural amplifier to his head. "No!" Kate shouted. "Take me instead. I'm the senior officer." "But you are not the one being tortured," Vexul said. "You are the one who will watch. That is your role in this experiment." He activated the machine. Danny's scream filled the chamber. It was a sound of pure agony, a kind of pain that drove people mad. Kate had heard wounded soldiers scream before, but nothing like this. Danny's back arched against the restraints, and his face twisted in pain. "Stop it," Kate yelled. "You're killing him." "The device is calibrated perfectly," Vexul said calmly. "He will feel pain beyond imagination, but he will not die. Not yet." The torture continued for what felt like hours. Danny screamed until his voice was gone, then screamed some more. Kate fought against her restraints until her wrists bled, but she could not break free. Lisa was crying and cursing. Jake was awake now, watching in horror. Finally, Vexul turned off the machine. Danny slumped in the chair, breathing hard. His eyes were wide and empty, like he had seen something that broke his mind. "Interesting," Vexul said. "The young human lasted longer than I expected. But he did break. They all break eventually." He turned to Kate. "Now, Dr. Morgan, let us discuss why you are here. I know that human medical ships carry information about supply routes and colony locations. I want that information." "I won't tell you anything," Kate said through gritted teeth. "We shall see," Vexul said. "Guards, bring the engineer." Lisa fought harder than Danny had. She was stronger and had grown up in the tough mining colonies of Mars. But the Zephyrians were stronger, and soon she was strapped to the torture chair. "This one has fire," Vexul said approvingly. "Let us see how long it burns." The neural amplifier activated again. Lisa's scream was different from Danny's. It was full of rage as well as pain. She cursed Vexul and his entire species, even as the machine tore at her mind. Kate watched in agony as her crew was tortured. She was a doctor. Her entire life had been dedicated to healing people, to stopping pain. Now she was forced to watch pain being inflicted on the people she cared about most. "The supply route information, Dr. Morgan," Vexul said over Lisa's screams. "Where do the human medical ships get their supplies?" "Go to hell," Kate whispered. Vexul increased the power. "On the torture device." Lisa's screams became inhuman. Her body convulsed against the restraints, and Kate saw foam at the corners of her mouth. "Stop!" Kate shouted. "You're going to cause permanent brain damage." "Then give me the information I want," Vexul said. Kate closed her eyes. She could not give him the information. If she told him about the medical supply routes, he would attack other ships like theirs. More crews would be captured. More people would suffer, but listening to her crew scream was tearing her apart. She was supposed to protect them. She was supposed to keep them safe. Instead, she had led them into a trap. After an eternity, Vexul turned off the machine. Lisa was unconscious, her body limp in the chair. Kate could see that she was still breathing, but her face was pale and her pulse was weak. "Bring the soldier," Vexul ordered. Jake Stone had been a security officer for 10 years. He had fought in 2 wars and survived battles that killed most of his unit. But when the Zephyrian strapped him to the torture chair, Kate could see fear in his eyes. "I won't break," Jake said quietly. "I've been trained for this." "We shall see," Vexul said. The neural amplifier activated for the 3rd time. Jake's scream was the worst yet. It was the sound of a strong man being torn apart from the inside. Kate watched as his military training fought against the incredible pain. But even Jake Stone had limits. The torture continued for days. Vexul would hurt one of her crew members, then give Kate a chance to talk. When she refused, he would switch to another victim. Danny was tortured until he could barely speak. Lisa was tortured until she could not stop shaking. Jake was tortured until his soldier's pride was gone, and he begged for mercy. Through it all, Kate was forced to watch. She was kept healthy and unharmed, but the emotional torture was worse than any physical pain. She began to understand why Vexul was doing this. He was not just trying to get information. He was trying to break her spirit by making her watch. The people she cared about suffer. On the 4th day, Kate finally spoke. "Enough," she said quietly. "I'll give you what you want." Vexul smiled his terrible smile. "I knew you would see reason eventually. Humans are so predictable. Your compassion is your weakness." "I need to treat my crew first," Kate said. "They're dying. They are dying slowly," Vexul corrected. "But, yes, I suppose keeping them alive would be useful. You might be lying to me, after all. I will need them alive to verify your information." Kate felt a spark of hope. If she could get her hands on medical supplies, if she could get close to her crew, maybe she could find a way to turn the situation around. "I'll need a full medical kit," she said, "and time alone with my patients." Vexul laughed. "You will have guards watching your every move. But yes, you may play doctor for a little while. It will be amusing to watch you try to heal what I have." "Broken," Kate nodded. She had learned something important during the long days of torture. Vexul was arrogant. He thought he understood humans, but he did not understand them at all. He thought compassion was weakness. He thought healers were soft. He was about to learn how wrong he was. But first, she had to save her crew. And to do that, she would need to get her hands on the tools of her trade. Tools that could heal Dot, or in the right hands, tools that could do much more than heal. The medical supplies that War Commander Vexul provided were basic but sufficient. Kate knelt beside Danny Brooks in the cold cell where they had been moved. His young face was pale and hollow, like he had aged 10 years in 4 days. His hands shook constantly from the neural damage. "Danny, can you hear me?" Kate whispered as she checked his pulse. 2 Zephyrian guards stood at the cell entrance, watching her every move. Danny's eyes focused on her slowly. Dr. Morgan, is it really over? For now, Kate said softly. She opened her medical kit and began treating his injuries. The neural amplifier had not left physical wounds, but it had damaged his nervous system. She gave him a mild sedative, too. Help with the shaking dot as she worked. She spoke to him in a quiet voice. Danny, I need you to listen carefully. Do you remember the medical emergency codes we learned in training? Danny's eyes sharpened slightly. Kate was not asking about his condition. She was asking if he remembered the secret communication system that medical crews used in dangerous situations. Yes, he whispered. Code blue means cardiac arrest. Code red means fire. Code yellow means ... double quote. That's right, Kate said. She pressed a small device against his arm that would inject healing medicine. But as she did, she tapped out a pattern with her fingers. Tap dash, pause dash tap. It was code yellow in the medical emergency system. Code yellow meant prepare for action. Danny's eyes widened slightly, but he did not react in any other way. He understood. Kate moved to Lisa Park next. The engineer was in worse condition than Danny. The torture had damaged her motor functions, and she could barely move her left arm, but her eyes were still full of fire. How are you feeling? Kate asked as she began examining Lisa's injuries. Like, I want to kill every Zephyrian in this place, Lisa muttered. Kate smiled slightly. Lisa's anger was actually a good sign. It meant her spirit was not broken. As Kate worked on Lisa's injured arm, she tapped out the same code. Tap dash, pause dash tap. Lisa single quotes. Sessions. Eyes narrowed. She understood the signal. She had worked with medical crews long enough to know their emergency codes. Can you move your right arm normally? Kate asked. Yes, Lisa said. Then she paused. The power systems in this place are interesting. Old, but functional. Lots of redundant circuits. Kate nodded. Lisa was telling her that she had been studying the fortress's layout. Even while being tortured, the engineer had been thinking about escape routes. Jake Stone was the hardest to treat. The former soldier had been tortured more severely than the others. His military training had made him resist longer, so Vexul had increased the pain to break him. Now Jake could barely speak. Jake, Kate said gently, I'm going to give you something for the pain. Jake's eyes met hers. Even through his suffering, she could see the soldier was still in there. Kate began treating his injuries, tapping out the emergency code as she worked. Jake's hand moved slightly. 3 taps, pause, 3 taps. It was military code for understood and ready. The guards were getting bored watching Kate work. They had been standing there for 2 hours as she treated her crew. One of them yawned and leaned against the wall. Kate stood up and approached the guards. I need to speak with War Commander Vexul. My crew is stable, but I need better supplies to keep them alive. The guards looked at each other. One of them spoke into a communication device. After a few minutes, Vexul's voice came through the speaker. Bring the human doctor to my chamber. Leave the others under guard. Kate was escorted through the fortress corridors. She used the time to memorize the layout. Left turn, then right, then down a long hallway. She counted the doors and noted where the guards were stationed. Vexul's personal chamber was decorated with weapons and trophies from many worlds. Kate tried not to look too closely at some of the items on the walls. She did not want to know what species they had come from. You have treated your crew, Vexul said. Good. Now we can discuss the information I want. Kate took a deep breath. I'll give you the supply route information, but I need guarantees. My crew must be kept alive and unharmed. Vexul laughed. You are hardly in a position to make demands, Dr. Morgan. But yes, I will keep your crew alive. They may be useful for future experiments. Kate felt sick, but she nodded. The main medical supply depot is in the Centauri system. Station Alpha 7. It's protected by a small defense force. Interesting, Vexul said, making notes on a datapad. What about the shipping schedules? Medical supply ships leave Alpha 7 every 2 weeks. They follow predetermined routes to avoid pirate activity. Kate continued giving him information. Some of it was true, some of it was false. She made sure to include enough real details to make it believable, but she also gave him information that would lead his forces into traps. This is very helpful, Vexul said when she finished. But how do I know you are not lying to me? You don't, Kate said. But if I am lying, you still have my crew to torture. I won't risk their lives for false information. Vexul studied her for a long moment. You know, Dr. Morgan, I am almost disappointed. I expected more resistance from a human. Your species has a reputation for being stubborn. My species also has a reputation for being practical, Kate replied. I'm a doctor, not a soldier. My job is to save lives, not to be a hero. Yes, Vexul agreed. That is what makes this so satisfying. I have broken a human healer. I have proven that your compassion is weakness. Kate lowered her head as if in defeat. Yes, you've proven your point. Indeed I have, Vexul said. Guards, return the doctor to her cell. Tomorrow we will begin planning the attack on Station Alpha 7. As Kate was escorted back to the cell, she felt a cold anger building in her chest. Vexul thought he had broken her. He thought he understood humans. But he had made a crucial mistake. He had given her access to medical supplies. And he had underestimated what a human doctor could do with the right tools. Back in the cell, Kate continued treating her crew. But now she was also preparing them for what came next. Using the medical emergency codes, she communicated her plan. The guards changed shifts in 6 hours. She tapped out to Lisa. Can you access the power systems? Lisa's response was quick. Yes, I can cause a blackout in this section. Kate turned to Jake. How many guards between us and the exit? Jake's hand moved slowly. 12, maybe 15. Kate nodded. It would be difficult, but not impossible. She had one advantage that Vexul did not know about. Human medical training included more than just healing. It included detailed knowledge of anatomy, physiology, and exactly how to disable a body quickly and efficiently. Danny, she tapped out to her young assistant. Can you follow my lead? Danny's response was firm. Yes, Dr. Morgan. I trust you. Kate smiled for the first time in days. Her crew was ready. They had been broken by torture, but they were not defeated. They were human, and humans did not give up easily. She opened her medical kit and began selecting the tools she would need. A scalpel, sharp and precise. A neural stimulator, designed to restart damaged nerves. A small laser cutter, meant for surgical procedures. In the right hands, these tools could save lives. In the wrong hands, they could end them. Vexul was about to learn that human doctors were not the soft, weak healers he thought they were. They were some of the most dangerous people in the galaxy, because they knew exactly how fragile life could be. And Kate Morgan was done being merciful. The guards at the cell entrance were relaxed now. They had been watching the humans for days, and the prisoners seemed beaten and harmless. One guard was even dozing against the wall. Kate checked her medical chronometer. 4 hours until the shift change. She began her final preparations, speaking quietly to her crew in medical terminology that the guards would not understand. Prepare for emergency surgery, she said. We're going to need to move fast. Her crew nodded. They understood. The healing was over. Now came the part that Vexul had never expected from a human doctor. Now came the cutting. The shift change happened exactly when Kate had predicted. The tired guards were replaced by fresh ones who were more alert, but less familiar with the prisoners. Kate waited another hour, then made her move. "Guard," she called out. "I need two. Speak with War Commander Thexul immediately. One of my crew members is dying." The guard looked annoyed. "The commander is sleeping. It can wait until morning." "No, it can't," Kate said urgently. "Danny Brooks is having a severe reaction to the neural damage. If I don't get proper medical equipment in the next hour, he'll die. And if he dies, your commander won't be able to verify the information I gave him." The guard hesitated. He looked at Danny, who was lying very still on the floor. Lisa had coached him on how to fake the symptoms of neural shock. He was doing it perfectly. "I'll contact the commander," the guard said. A few minutes later, Thexul's angry voice came through the communicator. "What is it now, human?" "Danny is dying," Kate said. "The neural damage is causing his brain to shut down. I need advanced medical equipment, or you'll lose your only way to verify my information." There was a pause. Then Thexul spoke again. "Very well. I will meet you in the medical bay. But this had better not be a trick, Dr. Morgan. If you are lying, I will make your crew's previous suffering seem pleasant." Kate was escorted to the fortress's medical bay. It was a small room with basic equipment, but it would serve her purpose. 2 guards brought Danny on a stretcher. Jake and Lisa were left in the cell under heavy guard. Thexul arrived 10 minutes later. He looked irritated at being woken up. "Well, doctor? Where is this dying patient?" Danny was lying on the medical table, his breathing shallow and irregular. Kate had given him a mild sedative to help him fake the symptoms, but to Thexul, it looked like genuine neural shock. "The damage is spreading through his nervous system," Kate explained. "I need to perform emergency surgery to stop it." Thexul examined Danny himself. The Zephyrian War Commander knew enough about biology to recognize the symptoms. "Interesting. I did not expect the neural damage to progress this quickly. Human nervous systems are more fragile than most species, Kate. Lead. But they're also more adaptable. If I can stop the damage now, he might survive." "Very well," Thexul said. "Proceed with your surgery, but I will watch personally. If this is a trick—" "It's not a trick," Kate said. "I'm a doctor. I save lives. That's what I do." Thexul positioned himself where he could see the entire medical table. The 2 guards stood by the door. Kate began preparing her surgical instruments. "I need you to move closer," Kate told Thexul. "I may need your help to hold him still if he starts convulsing." Thexul stepped closer to the table. He was now within arm's reach of Kate. She picked up a scalpel and positioned it over Danny's chest. "This is delicate work," she said. "I need to make an incision near the heart to access the main nerve cluster." She raised the scalpel, then paused. "Actually, War Commander, could you hold his shoulders? I need him completely still for this part." Thexul reached out to hold Danny's shoulders. As he did, Kate struck, but she did not strike at Danny. She spun around and drove the scalpel into Thexul's wrist, severing the tendons that controlled his fingers. The War Commander's hand opened involuntarily, and his weapon clattered to the floor. Before he could react, Kate grabbed a neural stimulator from the medical tray. She pressed it against the base of Thexul's neck and activated it. The device sent a powerful electrical pulse through his spinal cord, paralyzing him instantly. Thexul collapsed to the floor, unable to move anything below his neck. His eyes were wide with shock and pain. "Impossible," he gasped. "You're a healer. You don't kill." Kate stood over him, the neural stimulator still in her hand. "You're right, I don't kill. But I know exactly how to hurt without killing. I know every nerve in your body. I know which ones control pain, which ones control movement, and which ones control fear." She pressed the stimulator against another nerve cluster. Thexul screamed as agony shot through his body. "That's your pain center," Kate said calmly. "I can stimulate it whenever I want. And this," she moved the device to another location, "this controls your ability to speak. One touch, and you'll never talk again." The guards at the door had finally realized what was happening. They raised their weapons, but Danny was already moving. The young medical assistant had rolled off the table and grabbed Thixul's fallen weapon. "Don't move," Danny said, pointing the weapon at the guards. His hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. "I may be a medic, but I know how to use this." Kate quickly disabled the fortress's alarm system, using her medical override codes. Then she used Thexul's communication device to contact her crew. "Lisa, can you hear me? I need that blackout now." Lisa's voice came through the comm. "Already working on it. Jake took out the guards here. We're heading for the main power system." "Good. Danny and I will meet you at the exit. We have about 10 minutes before they realize what's happening." Kate looked down at Thexul. The war commander was paralyzed, but conscious. She knelt beside him. "You made a mistake," she said quietly. "You thought humans were weak because we choose to heal instead of harm. But healing requires the same knowledge as harming. We know exactly how bodies work. We know exactly how to break them." She stood up and gathered her medical supplies. "I'm leaving you alive, Thexul. But you'll never walk again. You'll never hold a weapon again. You'll spend the rest of your life remembering that a human doctor did this to you." The lights in the fortress suddenly went out. Lisa had done her job. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red light. "Let's go," Kate said to Danny. "Time to leave." They made their way through the fortress corridors, moving quickly but quietly. Kate had memorized the layout during her trips to Thexul's chamber. She led Danny through the maze of passages, avoiding the main corridors where guards would be. Responding to the power failure, they met Jake and Lisa at the fortress's main entrance. Jake was carrying a Zephyrian weapon, and Lisa had a bag full of equipment she had taken from the power station. "The main gate is locked down," Jake reported. But Lisa found another way out. Lisa grinned. "Maintenance tunnel. Leads to the vehicle. Bay, I also disabled their communication system. They won't be able to call for help." They made their way through the maintenance tunnel. It was narrow and dark, but it brought them to the vehicle bay without being seen. Several small spacecraft were parked there, including a fast courier ship that would serve their purposes. "Can you fly this?" Kate asked Jake. "I can fly anything," Jake replied. "Let's get out of here." They boarded the ship, and Jake started the engines. As they lifted off from the fortress, Kate looked back at the building where they had been tortured. Somewhere in there, Thexul was lying paralyzed on the floor of the medical bay, learning what it meant to be helpless. "Where are we going?" Danny asked. Kate looked at the communication system. She had taken Thexul's access codes, and now she had an idea. A way to make sure this never happened to another medical crew. "First, we're going to send a message," Kate said. "Then we're going home." She activated the ship's long-range communicator and set it to broadcast on all Zephyrian military frequencies. When she was sure every Zephyrian ship and base would receive her transmission, she began to speak. "This is Dr. Kate Morgan of the human medical ship Mercy's Edge. I am speaking to all Zephyrian forces. Your war commander Thexul captured my crew and tortured them for 4 days. He wanted to prove that human healers were weak." Kate paused, looking at her crew. They were all watching her with pride and determination. "I want you all to know that Thexul is still alive, but he will never walk again. He will never hold a weapon again. He will spend the rest of his life as helpless as the people he tortured." She leaned closer to the microphone. "I did this to him with medical instruments. A scalpel. A neural stimulator. The same tools I used to save lives, I used to destroy his. Kate's voice became harder, colder. Listen carefully, because I will only say this once. Human medical personnel are protected by galactic law. But more than that, we are protected by something stronger. We are protected by the knowledge that those who choose to heal also know exactly how to harm. She stood up, her hands steady on the controls. If you ever attack another human medical ship, you will learn what War Commander Thexul learned. You will discover that the most dangerous human is not a soldier or a warrior. It is a doctor who has decided to stop healing and start cutting. Kate ended the transmission and sat back in her chair. Around her, her crew was silent. They had been through hell together, but they had survived. More than that, they had won. Think it will work? Lisa asked. Kate smiled grimly. Word will spread. Other species will hear about what happened here. They'll remember that human doctors know more about causing pain than most torturers know about inflicting it. Jake plotted a course for home. As their ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, Kate looked at her medical kit. The same instruments that had saved countless lives had just been used as weapons. The same hands that had healed had just destroyed. She felt no guilt about what she had done to Thexul. He had chosen to torture innocent people. He had chosen to make healers watch their patients suffer. Now he would live with the consequences of those choices. Danny spoke quietly. Dr. Morgan, will we ever be the same? After what W? 6 months later, Dr. Kate Morgan stood in the medical bay of a new ship, the Healing Light. It was larger than the Mercy's Edge and better equipped, but it served the same purpose. She was treating a young colonist who had been injured in a mining accident. Hold still, Kate said gently as she stitched the man's arm. This will sting a little, but it will prevent infection. The colonist nodded, trying not to wince. Thank you, Doctor. We're lucky you were in the area. Kate smiled as she finished the procedure. That's what we're here for. Danny Brooks entered the medical bay carrying supplies. He was no longer the frightened young man who had been captured by the Zephyrians. The torture had changed him, but not broken him. He was stronger now, more confident in his abilities. The next patient is ready, Danny reported. Burns from the reactor accident. 2nd degree, but treatable. Good, Kate said. Prep the burn treatment unit. I'll be there in a few minutes. As Danny left, Kate finished bandaging her patient's arm. The man looked at her with curiosity. Doctor, is it true what they say about you? About what happened with the Zephyrians? Kate paused in her work. The story had spread throughout human space and beyond. She had become something of a legend, though she was not entirely comfortable with it. What do they say? She asked. They say you fought off an entire Zephyrian raiding party with nothing but medical instruments. They say you paralyzed their commander and escaped from their fortress. Kate secured the bandage and helped the man sit up. Some of that is true. But the important thing to remember is that we were medical personnel doing our job. We saved lives that day, including our own. The colonist nodded respectfully. Well, I'm glad you did. Makes me feel safer knowing that human doctors can take care of themselves. After the colonist left, Kate made her rounds through the ship. Lisa Park was in the engine room, making modifications to the ship's systems. The engineer had recovered completely from her ordeal and was back to her usual self. How are the new defensive systems working? Kate asked. Lisa grinned. Better than expected. We've got enhanced shields and faster engines. Plus some surprises for anyone who tries to board us uninvited. Good, Kate said. Any word from command about our next assignment? We're heading to the Vega system. Reports of a plague outbreak on one of the outer colonies. Standard medical relief mission. Kate nodded. It was the kind of work she preferred. Healing people, stopping disease, saving lives. It was what she had trained for, what she believed in. Jake Stone met her in the corridor. The former soldier had also recovered from his torture, though he was more alert than before, more protective of the crew. "Dr. Morgan, we're receiving a priority transmission from Starfleet Medical," Jake reported. "Admiral Martinez wants to speak with you." Kate made her way to the communications center. Admiral Martinez appeared on the screen, a stern woman with gray hair and intelligent eyes. "Dr. Morgan," the Admiral said, "I have news about the Zephyrian situation." "What kind of news?" Kate asked. "The kind you'll want to hear. 3 weeks ago, the Zephyrian High Command issued new orders to all their raiding fleets. Human medical ships are now classified as Priority Zero targets." Kate raised an eyebrow. "Meaning?" "Meaning they are forbidden to attack them under any circumstances." The order came directly from their supreme war leader after he received reports about what happened to War Commander Thexul. Admiral Martinez leaned forward. "It gets better. We've intercepted communications from other pirate groups. Word has spread about your escape. Several criminal organizations have added human medical ships to their do not engage lists." Kate felt a mixture of satisfaction and relief. "And Thexul? Still alive, still paralyzed. He's been relieved of command and is essentially a prisoner of his own people. They consider him a failure and an embarrassment." The Admiral's expression became more serious. "Dr. Morgan, I need to ask you something. Are you comfortable with how this situation has developed? You've become something of a symbol in the medical corps." Kate considered the question. "I never wanted to be a symbol, Admiral. I just wanted to save my crew. But you did more than that. You sent a message that medical personnel won't be easy victims. Recruitment applications to the medical corps have increased by 30%. People want to serve with doctors who can protect themselves and their patients." Kate looked around the bridge at her crew. Danny was monitoring the medical sensors. Lisa was checking the defensive systems. Jake was coordinating with the navigation computer. They were all working together, all dedicated to their mission of helping others. "I'm comfortable with it," Kate said finally, "as long as people understand that we're healers first. Everything else is just self-defense." Admiral Martinez smiled. "Understood. Good luck on your mission to Vega, Doctor." "And Kate?" "Yes, Admiral?" "The entire medical corps is proud of what you and your crew accomplished. You reminded the galaxy that human compassion is not the same thing as human weakness." The transmission ended, and Kate returned to the medical bay. She had work to do, patients to treat, lives to save. It was what she had always done, what she would always do, but now she did it with the knowledge that she and her crew were safer. The galaxy had learned to respect human medical personnel, not just because of their healing skills, but because they knew how dangerous healers could be when their patients were threatened. Danny appeared at her side. "The burn victim is ready for treatment, Dr. Morgan." "On my way," Kate said. She picked up her medical scanner and headed for the treatment room. As she walked, she passed a mirror and caught her reflection. She looked the same as she had before the Zephyrian capture. Same brown hair, same steady hands, same compassionate eyes, but she knew she was different. She had been tested in the worst possible way and had found strength she never knew she possessed. She had learned that healing and harming were two sides of the same knowledge, and that sometimes protecting life required the threat of taking it away. The burn victim was a young woman from the mining colony. Her injuries were serious but treatable. Kate began her work, using the same hands that had once paralyzed a war commander to gently heal damaged tissue. "How does it look, Doctor?" the woman asked nervously. "You'll be fine," Kate said with a smile. "The burns are healing well. You'll have some scarring, but nothing that will affect your mobility. As she worked, Kate thought about the message she had sent to the galaxy. It was not a message of violence or aggression. It was a message of protection. It said that those who chose to heal were not helpless. It said that human medical personnel would defend themselves and their patients with the same skill they used to save lives. The treatment took 2 hours. When it was finished, the young woman sat up and flexed her healed arm. "It feels perfect," she said with wonder. "Thank you, doctor. I don't know how to repay you. Just take care of yourself," Kate said. "And remember that there are people out here willing to help when you need it." The woman left the medical bay, and Kate began preparing for the next patient. Outside the ship's viewport, stars streamed past as they traveled toward their next mission. Somewhere in those stars were people who needed help, colonies suffering from disease, ships in distress. Kate Morgan and her crew would answer those calls. They would heal the sick, treat the injured, and save lives. They would do it with compassion and skill, as they always had. But now they would do it with the knowledge that the galaxy respected them not just as healers, but as humans. They would do it knowing that their message had been heard and understood. They would do it knowing that sometimes the most powerful weapon a healer could carry was the promise that they knew exactly how to use their knowledge to protect the innocent. The healing light continued through space, carrying its crew toward their next mission. In the medical bay, Dr. Kate Morgan worked quietly, her hands steady and sure, healing those who needed healing and ready to protect those who needed protection. She was still a doctor. She was still a healer, but she was also something more. She was human, and the galaxy would never forget what that meant.